Alex Cheminov here at Movements for Life. This next restorative segment is going to take us to local mobility for your hamstrings. So this is going to be done after you do your soft tissue work, either by way of foam roller or preferably a lacrosse ball to the whole hamstring complex. So just to review and recap, we have 3 hamstrings per leg, 2 on the inner, 1 on the outer. That bicep femoris on the outside can be further divided into 2 long and short heads. So technically you got 4 per leg. So these guys are very complex. There's, I feel like, so much to get into as it relates to hamstring work with our mobility as well as some of the programming. But for our purposes here today, we want to be able to focus on stretching the hamstring from the hip down, if you will. So think about how that carries over into deadlifts, right? In the deadlift position, stiff-legged deadlifts are a misnomer, right? You don't want to be in that fully extended knee as we're doing our deads. We want to always keep a slight bend in the knee. From an authenticity standpoint as it relates to gait, when we step forward with the front leg, my front knee is in a flex position. It is soft, right, because it's absorbing force. So that is automatically, especially if I start reaching with my arms, going to put hamstring on my stretch from the top down, from the hip down. So that is going to be an authentic posture that we are going to want to neurologically condition and train the hamstrings in terms of how to be able to lengthen. Picking on some of the hamstring stuff, not that there's anything wrong with it, but being in that fully extended, so different types of straddle and pancake stretches, also great. This gets more groin. We just have to keep a little bit of life and transfer into sport and activities by keeping that front knee in a flex position as we stretch the hamstrings from the top down. So that being said, there's a lot of different body positions that influence how the hamstring is going to be stretched. So we're going to start nice and simple. I'm using a 12-inch box. You can use anything that will elevate your foot. Staircase works really well, which we prescribe to our clients for their home program. So for here, I'm going to keep my hands on the wall so that I'm in a nice stable posture. And I can't dismiss the role that the ankle plays, the hip and my upper back as I get into a hamstring stretch. So I can kind of get further into a stretch if I'm in this position here, right? So you can see my knee is fully extended, that's totally locked out. My ankle is plantar flexed, and look at the position of my upper back, right? So if I want to kind of focus on the hamstring more, I can't dismiss what's going on everywhere else in the chain. So I'm going to focus on maintaining and keeping a slight arch in my lower back. Now look at the difference. I cannot straighten my leg, and my hamstrings are fairly mobile. I'm not tight by any means. I'm also not super bendy like Gumby. But that being said, look at the difference in my range here. This is my tissue tension barrier right here. I really can't go any further than this. So I'm keeping a nice arch. I'm able to actively load and unload my hamstring or stretch my hamstring. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to drive the hip back, keeping a nice arch in your pelvis, keeping a nice tall posture. My hands are in front of me, so that's automatically going to keep me in a nice hip flex position, right, as I stretch my hamstring. All right, so this is kind of level 1. If I want to juice this up a little bit more, if I need to, I can actually now change my foot position and put it up on the foot, on the wall rather, and now that's going to put me into a position of some dorsiflexion. So that's going to tug my hamstring more as I start driving back. So this is going to be quite a bit more aggressive. I'm still focusing on the same thing, keeping a nice arch in the lower back as I drive back into my hamstring stretch. All right, so a couple of big things to look at prior to getting onto the rest of your program. So to review and recap, soft tissue work, this is local hamstring mobility. After this, we would follow up with some global, which is more integrated head to toe, and then we get into our matrices, which is our continuation of the movement prep, and getting into some of the other activation prior to the workout. So enjoy this one. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Enjoy. Experiment with a couple different influences on how the spine and the pelvis and the foot influences your, as well as the knee, influences your hamstring mobility work. So enjoy. Thanks.